This chapter was basically a showcase of the ranking system in Area 7 and the monkeys' abilities, as Toriko and the others were surrounded and attacked by them. Apparently they have the same abilities as the 4 beasts, where they can receive damage and flow that received damage out of their bodies, as well as raising their capture levels. Plus they also know a special martial arts called Enbu, and they have regenerative abilities. That was shown earlier in the chapter when Zebra was the first to initiate the attack using a Shioto, which failed on the monkeys. So he slaps the monkey's head clean off of its body. Not gonna lie, that scene was freaking cool. Yet that gorilla was still able to regrow his head. Also, since people compare Zebra to Rao from 5th of the North Star, here's a fun fact. In the manga, Rao actually did slap a guy's head off. Unfortunately, that scene was changed in the anime. Lame. Now, I did like some of the various designs that were used on the monkeys. I mean, there's a monkey with a blade at the end of its tail while holding an umbrella called an Iai. There's a Medusa gorilla called a Medusaru, and there's a Buddhist gorilla which for some reason made me laugh. I don't know why, it just looks kind of funny to me. It's basically a Buddhist gorilla. I also like the explanation about the ranking system in Area 7. It was based on the monkey's ability of wielding Enbu. Lowest rank being newcomer and the top rank being master. And of course you have the boss, Monkey King Bambina. If a monkey becomes a master, they have the permission from the Monkey King to predate and mate freely. However, the lower ranking monkeys have to ask for permission from the masters. And apparently all the monkeys that Toriko and the others are facing off against, they're all newcomers. Now granted, they are surrounded by hundreds, possibly even thousands of newcomers, but if Toriko and the others cannot defeat a single newcomer, what makes them believe that they can take on Monkey King Bambina? And then there was the introduction of one of the 4 masters, this giant gorilla mountain thing, which looks kind of weird to me because of the O-shaped face it's making, but this monkey's definitely no joke because all the newcomers bow down to him and start sweating like crazy, like they're afraid of him. And then we got Toriko and the others arriving at an underground ancient ruins, obviously a former civilization that resided in Area 7. They were greeted by a mysterious Nitro, which the identity of the Nitro was revealed in the next chapter, but obviously this Nitro did help them escape from the monkeys by causing that pitfall. I don't know how this Nitro did it, but this Nitro did. The chapter overall was pretty decent. We got to see what the monkeys are capable of, even though they're newcomers, and we get to learn a little bit more about Area 7 with this Enbu ranking system. As for the fight, this was basically showcasing the monkeys' abilities and a little bit less on the 4 Heavenly Kings. I mean, we got to see a bit of Toriko and Zebra, but not Sunny and Coco, which is kind of a shame, really. This chapter I liked more than the previous one because we learned even more information about Area 7 and its history. More specifically, the ancient underground ruins that Toriko and the others stumbled upon. The ancient ruins was once a civilization created by the humans that were previously slaves to the Nitros. Well, more specifically the blue Nitros, because surprisingly the humans lived peacefully with not only the monkeys but with other Nitros as well. It was revealed that not all the Nitros are evil, just the blue Nitros. They even enslaved their own kind, especially red Nitros, where they crushed their vocal cords and forced them to gather ingredients. There's this one scene when Toriko can still catch the scent of people sitting down and enjoying food together, to the point where he actually has a vision of the past. I know that with Toriko's new enhanced sense of smell, he can smell scents that were previously still in the location, but did he really get teleported into the past or something? Because that was kind of strange. Well, maybe this was just a vision. As for the mysterious Nitro in the previous chapter, it was a female Nitro named Kaka. I know it's a weird name, but this is Toriko, so yeah. Who knew Chi-Chi, and like him, she's also a taste hermit. There was even a third taste hermit named Gigi, and they were given titles Gold Chef, Silver Chef, and Bronze Chef. So we can assume that Kaka is the Silver Chef, and she might have known Ichiryu, but we don't really know a lot about her. But it was revealed that she was the second Nitro that escaped Gourmet Pyramid, and she's willing to help them out since Komatsu was the one that awoken her from her cryptobiosis. It was also revealed that the murals back in Gourmet Pyramid and in the ancient ruins was created by her and other Nitros, which apparently those murals were recipes. But the question is, what drove the civilization to crumble? What happened to the human race that escaped the Nitros? What happened to the other Nitros? And what happened to the monkeys back then? Kaka did say that it was the rebellion of the monkeys at the beginning, but it wasn't really the direct cause. She couldn't explain any further because Komatsu's condition took a turn for the worst, unfortunately. And because of Komatsu's condition, they only have a week left to save his life. Now, I do feel bad for Komatsu, and his current condition is stable at the moment. I really wanted to know more about this civilization and a bit more about Area 7. I mean, when it comes to these kinds of chapters, you get to understand more about the world itself, and you get to learn more about the history. It's one of the things that I like about Toriko. It makes things interesting. But it can be a bit frustrating when not all the questions are answered until a later time. This has been going on a lot ever since this time skip. But it does make you wonder why the monkeys rebelled against the humans and the Nitros. Was it because of Monkey King Bambina? Or was it because of the Blue Nitros? Well, we probably won't know until later, but we can probably assume that these two might be connected to the cause. But at least we know a little bit more about Pear. Its location is at 100G Mountain. Mountain made out of a rock that releases a special magnetic force which reacts to the flesh of living creatures, has 100 times gravity than the gravity at ground level, and its atmosphere is called Zero Mountain Range, where there's no oxygen. Well, that explains why they needed to get air first before moving on to the next continent. Also, 100G Mountain is the location of Monkey King Bambina, and Pear is a part of his body. There have been a lot of theories of what Pear might actually be, which was revealed a couple chapters later, and I'll get to my thoughts on what Pear is later. However, confronting the Monkey King is now inevitable, but the question is, are the four Heavenly Kings ready to take on Bambina? Well, let's just say that they need to work very, very hard if they want to get Pear and save Komatsu. So overall, this was a very informative chapter, and it was a very good one. I just wish we could have learned a little bit more about the civilization, or at least the cooking method to preparing Pear, and how the hell it's supposed to save Komatsu's life, who's missing a heart right now. But I guess all in due time. Not only do we get another informative chapter, but it's also a setup chapter for the upcoming battle. This time, it's the piranha plant that Kaka was carrying as their trump card as they make it to 100G Mountain. It's called a Toriko, and its pollen can cause mass extinction. I mean, it scared a sapphire ant and even spooked a couple of those monkeys from the previous chapter. Hell, this little plant almost killed the four Heavenly Kings thanks to Sunny's carelessness. According to Kaka, its pollen can cause the body's moisture to leave the body in only a few seconds, and it has a 100% fatality rate. If it wasn't for Kaka giving them anti-allergy medicine and super reservoir sea cucumbers, they would have been dead. And what's even crazier is that this Toriko that Kaka was carrying is a weaker version, which makes you wonder what the original Torikos are like. Not only that, but if they use the anti-allergy medicine many times, the antigens will change and won't work. So these five have to be very careful when using the Toriko. Now, while on their journey to 100G Mountain, they pass by Pot Mountain, which flows consomme magma, and in case you guys have forgotten, that is Naki Master Jiro's soup to his full course menu, which means that one day Naki Master Jiro came to Area 7. Not gonna lie, I miss the old man. Wish we get to see him again someday. Anyway, aside from the Toriko, we also learn more about Area 7. It's split into 4 areas where 100G Mountain is the center. Currently, the group is in the North Mountain area, which is ruled by one of the 4 masters, the Gorataros, the giant monkey mountain that we saw 2 chapters ago, which has a capture level of 1,405. You know, that's the first quadruple digit capture level that we saw ever since the time skip. But it wasn't Monkey King Bambina that laid out the rules in Area 7, it was the 4 masters that restricted free predation. They also took all the food for themselves to reach an even higher status. Eventually, the group encounters a bunch of monkey corpses, which was revealed to be the monkeys that attacked them. Seems they were so desperate and hungry that they attacked without permission, and when they were discovered, they committed suicide by punching a hole through their chest, bashing their heads completely into the ground. Well, one monkey did survive, and it was the same Iai that we saw earlier, although it hasn't been confirmed whether this monkey was ordered to kill them or not, but Toriko defended himself when the monkey monkey attacked him by using the Toriko, but Toriko was nice enough to give him that reservoir sea cucumber and anti-allergy medicine to cure his allergic reaction, and also to give him some food since he was very hungry. It is a nice moment, but couldn't Toriko have used something else aside from the Toriko? I mean, sure, the Iai was attacking him, but was that really necessary? Because it seemed kind of mean to use a fatally dangerous plant. Anyway, I did say that this chapter was also setting up for an upcoming battle, and that is the 4 Heavenly Kings versus the Gorotaurus who has caught the group. So once again, a pretty decent read with plenty of information about Area 7 and this very dangerous Toriko plant. And we also learned that the Masters are dicks. I mean, doesn't the Monkey King know about this? Well, spoiler alert, he doesn't give a crap. I'll explain that in due time. But an upcoming battle between one of the 4 Masters and the 4 Heavenly Kings is promising, especially when we get to see what kind of powers that the 4 Heavenly Kings now have after eating air. So we get the fight between the 4 Heavenly Kings and the Gorotaurus, and I gotta say, it was a pretty good fight. Not only did each individual had a part in the fight, but we also got to see some teamwork and combos. Toriko and Coco combined the Flying Fork with Drip Poison to create Poison Fork, and Zebra and Sunny were able to work together, combining Death Knuckle and the Mao no Fry Gaishi to land a couple of hits on the Gorotaurus. Which, by the way, the giant monkey mountain is not really its real body, it's this. A saber-toothed gorilla who has the lower half of a 6-legged zebra or giraffe. I really have no idea. As for what they can do individually, Zebra can now add supersonic vibrations to enhance his regular sound attacks. Sunny can now use Satan Hair on his left arm and is able to spit out what Satan Hair has eaten, calling it Satan Vomit. And if you look closely in this one panel, you can see Tommy Rod's face in the Satan Hair. You know, it'd be weird if Tommy Rod was spat out and he was still alive, but I doubt that'll ever happen. With Toriko, aside from that combo attack, his role was pretty limited, but he did manage to land a hit on Gorotaurus using the Jet Fork. And as for Coco, well, he was the one to finish off the Gorotaurus using the same technique he used against Grimpatch, Devil Poison. Again, I really have no idea what Devil Poison does, but from what Coco did say, it's an addiction with guaranteed dependency. Well, whatever he gave to the Gorotaurus, it stops him. Yeah, this fight lasts for the entire majority of the chapter. I thought this was gonna last for the entire chapter, which it kinda did, but I was also expecting it to last more than one chapter. But considering that they're at a time limit, I guess Shimabukuro had to pick up the pace with this fight. Now, even though the fight was in the favor of the 4 Heavenly Kings, at least the Gorotaurus did put up, well, some effort. I mean, he did use some various Embu techniques, especially this one called the Yamawari, which he was able to split mountains in half. Also, to go off on a random note, how the hell was the Den Shark able to dive under the ground by vomiting out this puddle of liquid? How does that even work? I don't really know how that works. But yeah, aside from that, the fight, even though I wasn't expecting it to be this fast, it was a pretty good one. And at the end of the chapter, we get to see what Monkey King Bambino looks like. Well, from what I can describe from his appearance, he's a hairy baboon, but the rest of his body looks like he's covered in some sort of web-like threads or something. And just like as I said previously, the Monkey King doesn't give a crap on what's happening in Area 7. At the beginning, we see the Monkey King passing time by skipping rocks. Well, technically, no, they're not rocks. They're giant mountaintops that the Monkey King was able to slice off with a single swipe of his tail. And yet, that's not the crazy part. He can skip mountaintops at Mach 1 speed all around the world. And we all know how freaking huge the world of Toriko is. Within a week, the mountain would come back as a tiny pebble, which is caused by an unknown weather phenomenon. Well, aside from the Monkey King, we also get a quick update on the aftermath of the Gorotaurus' defeat. All the monkeys rebelled against the remaining masters, and now all the monkeys can eat whatever they want, whenever they want, without asking for permission. Well, that was easy and pretty quick if you think about it. I mean, this happened in one chapter, and apparently all you have to do to solve the predation restriction problem is to defeat one master. So does this mean we won't get to see who the other 3 masters are? Well, I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Well, on the plus side, at least we got some more information on Pear and Area 7. According to Kaka, even though Pear's original source is the Monkey King Bambina, the conventional Pear is at the Birthcry Tree, which is located at the Zero Mountain Range. What Birthcry Tree does is distributes the soup, Pear, into the entire continent, distributing its nutrients, causing everything on the continent to grow huge. However, the Blue Nitros tried to steal Pear, which thanks to them caused the continent's nutrients to diminish severely. And this resulted in mutations, which also resulted in the creation of the sun Toriko. What's ironic was that the flower that was supposedly destroyed Area 7 and caused many creatures to go extinct brought the area back to normal because it managed to suppress the Blue Nitro's actions. Now, this chapter has caused many readers to be very suspicious over Kaka, including myself, because I don't know what it is about her, but there's these panels when Coco was going to check on Komatsu, and we see a panel of Kaka and a panel of Coco. Something was a bit off. I don't know what, but maybe there's more to Kaka than meets the eye. But we do know more about her reason of saving Komatsu, and it's because since Komatsu was the one that found Notebook and Gourmet Pyramid, packed inside Komatsu's mind is the hope of the future's ingredients. However, the rest of the group have a different reason of saving Komatsu, and it's because they're his friends, and if Komatsu died, they wouldn't be able to eat together. Anyway, at the end of the chapter, they finally made it to the Birthcry Tree. So overall, I thought the chapter was decent, except I was kind of a bit iffy with the beginning. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did like seeing what the Monkey King can do, it's just that I was hoping parts of the beginning were cut down. Also, I wasn't expecting for Area 7 to go back to normal so quickly, all because of the defeat of one master, but at least we got to learn a little bit more on Area 7 and Pear. Also, I cannot be the only one that notices this, but as of late, this arc has been going at a pretty fast pace. It's understandable since they're at a time limit, but I'm kind of hoping that once they do save Komatsu's life, then the pacing can slow down a little bit. But in the next chapter, it's the reveal of Pear, and I really hoped that it wasn't this.